Day 7, we're at cathedrals, and we had a layover here, which was pretty fantastic. Just a beautiful sight, and it was just kind of nice to have a day to be off the raft and stretch our legs a bit. So we started the morning with a 4-hour activity where we weren't speaking, and we were also encouraged to seek out a solo spot or explore the area. So I headed up the hills to the west, and just wanted to get a better view of the cathedrals.
What we stressed is that there be no talking and that they just take in the Fraser. And we've been traveling now for almost a week, and lots of talking, lots of activity, lots of sights, lots of excitement, and it feels right now to slow it down and really get in tune and in touch with this river system. And this is an amazing spot at the cathedrals to really absorb and experience what the Fraser has to offer. So that's what they did on their solo trip. Then came back midday for lunch, had lunch, and then we spent about half an hour to an hour just debriefing, talking about, discussing what they experienced, what they felt, what they thought about, what they did. And it was some pretty incredible experiences, and some people were fairly emotional. And after that, we got some free time, let people just kind of unwind and relax, and then we were back at it in the early evening to do a blindfold leadership example where they had to build or exercise where they had to build a structure and do it as quickly as possible. So taking the information on leadership that they've been learning about over the last few days and put it into practice here as almost a test of how they work as a group. So it was interesting watching them, who took which roles, who was a supporter, who was a clarifier, who was the instigator, who was the initiator, how they came up with the structure that they decided to build, and then seeing it built and seeing the cooperation and the disagreement and the discussion of how they overcome those challenges as they put their structure together. But they eventually did, and then of course after that we spent some time talking about who did what and why and how they could have improved. And so they did, as a final thing, a real quick without the blindfolds rebuilding of the structure, and they did it of course within 1/10 of the time.
The structure building, that was a bit of a challenge. It really emphasized the important role of communication when it comes to doing things in a group, and everybody took the lead in that activity. It was awesome. And Kelly's presentation, that was cool because she showed us that if we look closely, there's a whole other world living in the river, of a whole different ecosystem that we might not even notice.
You can tell by the bugs that are living there what kind of ecosystem it is and how healthy the water is, if fish could live there or not. There were 3 specific types of bugs that require the same conditions that salmon fry would need to live, because they have gills as well. That's the stoneflies, caddisflies, and mayflies. And we found all 3 of those in the river margins here just by flipping over rocks.
Kelly's presentation was very interesting because it could be so easy just to ignore those bugs because they are so tiny, but actually they do play a very important role in the ecosystem. Right? That's also the lesson we learned from the web of life. Everything is connected, no matter how big it is or how small it is. It's all connected. We're part of the whole system.
We did an exercise on ecosystems, the web of life activity, which connects them or shows how they're connected as they adopt animal and element items in the ecosystem, and using a ball of yarn they connect each other, and they show how one is connected to the other. And so the really interesting thing for me is the participants went from the macro and the huge. I mean, you can even look at this as a big amphitheater and seeing the stars in the sky. It's an incredible sort of almost seeing how small you are in the universe, but you're thinking macro and big, and then going right down to the micro and the microbiology and the bugs. And it was a full day, amazing day, and we finished off with some just relaxing around the campfire before our closing circle.